Amazon advertising ACOS once reached 78.8%. Since integrating DeepBI, the ACOS has dropped to 18.2%. But the real challenge is not whether to run ads. The harder question became whether the account was ready to scale when inventory was available. The story began with a lighting seller on Amazon US. The store has over 100 active ASINs, including multiple parent-child variations with different colors and sizes. Core sales are concentrated on a few best-selling SKUs, and the replenishment cycle for these products typically takes 50 to 60 days. Once inventory fluctuates, ad budget adjustments cannot rely solely on same-day data. Before adopting DeepBI Ads, this store mainly used a traditional manual ad structure. The structure relied heavily on broad targeting, relatively high bids, and delayed negative keyword filtering. The original campaign ACOS once hit 78.8%. Ad spend kept rising, but ad-attributed sales could hardly cover the costs. Even so, the seller dared not stop advertising entirely, fearing a drop in traffic and orders and holding on to a sliver of hope. Now let's look at the first full cycle after integrating DeepBI. During that period, DeepBI Ads generated $4,883 in ad-attributed sales, with a DeepBI Ads ACOS of 27.8%. This gave the seller initial confirmation that DeepBI Ads could indeed contribute to sales and bring the previously near 80% ACOS back to a more acceptable range. However, a new issue quickly emerged. The core SKUs had long replenishment cycles. When inventory was tight, the seller wanted to control the ad pacing to prevent popular child SKUs from exhausting the budget before restocking. When inventory was relatively abundant, the seller wanted to scale up as quickly as possible. The problem was, the store mainly looked at the overall ACOs and struggled to align budget changes with each SKU's inventory status. By March 2026, the seller proposed that the current ACOS was already within the expected range and inventory was plentiful. So they wanted to double the ad budget. Behind this request lay a previously unresolved contradiction. Performance looked decent, but the budget had always been conservative. If they didn't allocate more resources, the window of ample inventory might pass them by. The DeepBI team did not look at the ACOs in isolation at that single point. Instead, they reviewed monthly ad sales, DeepBI Ads ACOs, budget changes, and inventory status together since the launch of DeepBI. The diagnosis revealed that during periods when inventory was high and ACOs was within target, the budget had not been scaled correspondingly. Thus, whether to increase the budget should not be decided by overall ACOs alone. It also depends on whether inventory can support the incoming traffic. Next, the team broke down ad sales to the SKU level. A few best-selling SKUs contributed the majority of ad sales, while some long-tail SKUs were still consuming budget continuously. Different parent-child variations also showed different performance in impressions, clicks, conversions, and ACOS. Looking at it this way, a good overall ACOS does not mean every SKU deserves the same budget allocation. On March 26, 2026, the seller expressed the wish to increase the budget for individual SKUs and create additional automatic ad campaigns. Key SKUs began to be explicitly pulled out from the overall budget pool. For SKUs with stock and clear sales contributions, resources could be gradually increased. For SKUs with tight inventory or potential stockouts, it was more appropriate to control the pace rather than continue pursuing volume. But the budget and SKU issue also extended to new products. On May 10, 2026, the seller reported that another store's ACOS was temporarily high and asked for closer attention. By May 25th, the seller raised concerns about the reduced CPC for new product ads, worrying that it might affect exposure and the learning phase for those new items. This does not necessarily mean the ad strategy had failed. When new products lack sufficient conversion data, DeepBI Ads adjusts CPC based on real-time performance to avoid overspending before results are validated. However, the seller's goal for new products might not be an immediate low ACOs, but rather sufficient exposure and clicks first. Only when this stage-specific objective is clearly articulated can bid and budget decisions be made with clarity. Consequently, subsequent collaboration moved beyond simply saying, ACOS is too high, or sales are insufficient. The seller began to provide more specific business information. Which SKUs have ample inventory and could be scaled? Which bestsellers have long replenishment cycles and need priority volume protection? Which new products are in the learning phase and can tolerate some short-term volatility? Which stores or listings have elevated ACOS and require individual review? DeepBI, in turn, used ad sales, ACOs, budget, inventory, and SKU-level impressions, clicks, and conversion data to disentangle these issues. When performance is healthy, ACOS is within the expected range, and inventory can support additional demand. Gradually increase budget. When inventory is tight or at risk of stockout, tighten moderately. Manage key SKUs separately, and evaluate new products based on their impression, click, and conversion stages, rather than applying the same standards as mature products. Over nearly a year of use, DeepBI ad sales grew from $4,883 in the first full cycle to $62,354 in later periods. DeepBI Ads ATOs also improved from 27.8% to 18.2%. These figures reflect DeepBI Ads metrics only, not the store's total sales. During the same period, the store's total monthly sales grew from approximately $45,000 at the start of the service to over yuan in later months, with a peak near $130 out. By the later stage, almost all ad-attributed sales were driven by DeepBI Ads, while spending and output from the original manual campaigns dropped to very low levels. However, not every SKU performed smoothly throughout. After some popular child SKUs went out of stock, the store's overall sales still experienced fluctuations. The seller began to distinguish whether a decline was a short-term effect caused by inventory or a genuine issue with the ad strategy itself. Rather than dismissing the entire advertising system based on a single month's ACOS or sales figures. The seller's questions therefore evolved. Initially, they cared about whether DeepBI Ads could be used and whether it would waste money. Later, they raised more specific requirements. When inventory is high, which products deserve increased budgets, whether key SKUs can receive dedicated resources, and how to balance CPC and learning speed for new products. Back to the original question. When inventory is sufficient, the budget can indeed be increased, but only after confirming which SKUs are in stock, which have been validated, and whether the overall ACOS remains within acceptable limits. When inventory is tight, it is not that the ads suddenly stop working. Rather, the ad pacing needs to adjust in line with available inventory. For this lighting seller, whether ad budgets are worth increasing cannot be decided by overall ACOs alone. It must also consider inventory status and SKU priorities.
Amazon Ads, smarter with AI, optimize your listings, lower ACOS, and boost organic traffic. Follow DeepBI and contact us for a free, tailored optimization plan.